Hello, today is the 19th of November 2025. Welcome to this new video. I don't know where to begin. Today I'm not feeling the best. Not that really anything's wrong, but it's because I'm not treating myself the best, or I haven't been in the past 1 or 2 weeks really. I haven't fully been treating myself that well because I've been focusing more on my mistakes again, kind of this same habit I used to always be in. That's not the way I usually treat myself anymore. But yeah, I think because also I'm very focused on making these shorts every single day, and there's just a lot of new things happening in my life right now and new opportunities, so my mind is just very occupied by those things. So that's not an excuse for why I'm treating myself badly, because I could be treating myself good throughout that whole thing. But while I'm doing those things and seeing all these new opportunities, I'm kind of, more telling myself, oh, okay, that wasn't great, or why are you nervous about this now, or why are you saying that, why are you doing this, why are you blah blah blah, the way, and I'm kind of pressurizing myself again to be perfect. Which is the way I used to always treat myself. Always, whenever I wasn't perfect, it was always not good enough, and I would beat myself up for it, and I would feel completely like shit. So yeah, it's not like the whole day, every single day now, the past 2 weeks, I've been treating myself that way, because then I would have made this video a lot earlier if I would have really treated myself that way 24/7. But no, like, I can just feel it in between, like when I'm going to bed. It's like I don't feel like I'm proud of myself. I kind of can't find things that I'm really proud of, even though there probably really is things, because that's usually the way it is. There's always something you can be proud of, but when you're feeling shit about yourself or talking shit about yourself, you don't see those things. So that's why it hasn't been quite hard for me in the evenings when I always fill out my journal about like the things I'm proud of from that day and my positives and stuff. I've just been having a really hard time truly seeing that, and that's just because I haven't been treating myself that great, and I haven't been talking to myself that great. So it's really up to me now to change the way I'm talking to myself again, and I know that I can do that because I've done it many times before. I just need to actively now notice every time I'm beating myself up, and then immediately actively change that language. Be like, look, that doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay. I'm human. I have feelings. This and that. Like, it, instead of seeing it in such a black and white way, like if you're not perfect, then you're not good enough. That's so black and white. So yeah, I definitely want to change that as well, because as soon as I talk kinder to myself and more uplifting and more encouraging, then I'll feel better. I'll feel better about myself, about my life, about everything. So yeah, I definitely want to change my language in the way I'm treating myself currently, and that just takes effort. It just takes my active participation, and that's just not what I've really been doing, because I've more felt like, yeah, well, I deserve to right now not feel great about myself because I wasn't 100% perfect. See, that's like so stupid. Okay, see, I shouldn't even say that about myself either. Maybe I can go into a couple of things that have been on my mind. It's just a lot of new things right now, and a lot of things that I just need to do in order to get somewhere. So one of the new things is obviously making the shorts. When I started that, obviously there was so much excitement and so much like, yeah, I was proud of myself. I was like, wow, this is really going somewhere. This is really cool. And then at the same time as well, I was afraid a bit, like a small bit, like fearful, and kind of like, yeah, now I need to face some comments as well, or more people are going to see me, maybe people that I even know from my school time, which I don't want them to see me, but at the same time, if they do, I know I can handle it now back then, a couple months ago, a couple years ago, I absolutely would not have felt capable. That's why I never posted my videos, because I didn't want anyone that I knew to see them. There's also work and travel kind of coming up, well, next year, like summer next year, but we're kind of organizing that right now. So we're in contact with some people from Austria, and we might be there for the months of July and August, working basically in a restaurant and then cleaning and washing up and all of that sort of thing. And that's kind of obviously, I think, a bit nerve-wracking. It's like you're doing something you've never done before. It's something new in a different country as well. You kind of are being pushed out of your comfort zone a small bit. So it's like very understandable that you'd be a bit like nervous at first and kind of like, okay, let's see. But a lot of people wouldn't go further into those thoughts. They'd just be like, yeah, of course I'm a bit nervous, but I'll be able to handle it, you know? And that's when it stops then for them, because they believe in their coping skills. They believe they can manage whatever is to come, even if it's not that pleasant, even if it's a bit stressful, that they can still pull through and like they'll manage. And at the end of the day, I know that too. Like, I know that even if I don't really like it there, even if it is really stressful, that, you know, the 6 to 8 weeks that I'll be working there, they will be manageable. I will be able to manage it, you know? So it's more kind of that I'm nervous about not being able to manage my thinking. And that's obviously something I really learned now the past year through the Thrive program. I've really noticed you can do things to manage your thinking. Like when you're brooding, you have to get out of your mind. You have to occupy your mind. When you're thinking in a black and white way, it's very like cut. It's very like there's no middle ground, really. So when you're thinking in a black and white way, you need to notice you are thinking that way, and that most likely there is some gray in the middle. So how can I see it in not such a harsh way? And then obviously, if you're thinking in an unhelpful way and in an unkind way, then you need to change the language. You need to speak in a kinder way to yourself and in a more helpful way, a way that will help you feel capable and motivated and uplifted and all of that. So your language you can change as well. So I've learned so many skills like on how I can change the language I'm using. But then there's still moments in between where I don't feel that I have any power over my thoughts. So where I feel like my thoughts are stronger than me, which is a complete delusion, because it's not true. Like, you create your own thoughts because of beliefs you have. So if you look at proof for the opposite of that belief, then you will change the way you're thinking about it as well. So I know I can change the way I'm thinking, but sometimes I have moments or days where I feel quite powerless in relation to my thoughts and emotions, where I do kind of feel like I'm not sure what I can do about this and if there is anything I can do about this. So that's why I got a small bit nervous that if I'm in Austria next year, that like maybe I'll have these strong emotions that will, you know, these thoughts that will make me feel like I don't know how I can handle this, or it's like really stressful, or I just want to go home, or things like that. So I'm kind of like afraid of that happening. But I do know as well I still have loads of time between now and then to really practice managing my thinking. And when I have unhelpful moments and thoughts, noticing that I can do something about that, because you always can. It's just down to your belief. Like, if you in that moment believe I can't do anything about this, then you're not going to try and do anything about this because you've already decided you can't. So anytime I have that belief going on now, in moments, I want to show myself, look, I feel incapable because I'm believing, I've basically decided I'm incapable, but now what can I do about this? There is something I can do, even if it's just like focusing on my breathing and regulating that. You know, things like that, or going to get a sip of water, or maybe confronting the person that's in the situation with me and being like, can you help me with this and that? Or like, I don't really agree with that. Maybe we can find out a different way. Or, you know, there is things I can do. But all that being said, basically right now I think I still need to prove to myself, look, I can manage my thinking. It's up to me. It's up to my beliefs. It's not just random. Thoughts don't just come to me. Thoughts aren't just given to me. They all come from my underlying beliefs that I can change. But yeah, that work and travel thing and these thoughts have just been a bit, you know, overwhelming and obviously a bit scary, and I haven't felt very powerful in relation to that because obviously these thoughts aren't very powerful thoughts. They're not like, oh wow, I can do it, I'm capable, whatever is to come, I can manage it, there's people around me and I can just ask for help if I need any, or I can ask for some time out if I need any, or whatever, you know. If I would think more in that way, then I'd feel so much more powerful. But I do know I can change the way I'm thinking, so I just need to practice that. So yeah, but then anyways, when we had the call with people in Austria a couple days ago, I was quite nervous beforehand. Like, not in a way that I couldn't manage, but I was nervous, and it was a bit strange because I haven't felt nervous in quite a while, honestly, which is also weird because I used to feel nervous every day about something, or especially if I had to speak with people or meet people. But the last few months I've grown so much in social confidence that I don't normally feel nervous in social situations anymore or with meeting people. There might be one or two thoughts that are a bit like, I'm not sure about this, or how do I feel about this, but always kind of knowing I can manage, and the nervousness is, you know, not in the slightest at that level that it used to be in the past. So I don't know, it was a bit weird when I was then nervous, but I also knew it's because of my own thoughts, obviously, because I haven't had very powerful thoughts in relation to the experience in Austria there. I've more had thoughts that make me feel nervous and powerless, so it's completely understandable why I was nervous. But at the same time, I was then kind of, I think, beating myself up about feeling nervous. And I was like, why am I feeling nervous again? I should already know how to calm myself down and how to not create nervousness. And like, why, I was kind of looking at myself like I was really stupid. Like, why the hell are you making yourself feel nervous and stuff? And that obviously didn't help either. Yeah. There's this whole me and my sisters want to start basically a YouTube channel. We've already started. We've already posted a couple of videos. But all of us kind of have different ideas and we kind of want different things. Even though we also all want the same thing in some areas. But it's mainly the filming part that kind of annoys me. So that's why we've decided, like, the three of us are going to have a sit down in the next few days and really write down what all of our ideas are, what we all want and don't want, to kind of make a plan and to then see if we're satisfied with that and if that works. Because right now we're coming to a few clashes always, because they might want something different to me, or, you know, they don't like my ideas that much, or things like that, you know. A good idea I can give is that at the weekend we had planned to meet our brother, our half-brother, for something to eat, but he then couldn't join because he wasn't feeling great. So the three of us had then still decided to go and do it, you know, what we had planned to do with him. And so obviously, because we were meeting him, we obviously didn't want to film that day. But then, because we weren't meeting him in the end, my sisters just decided, okay, let's just film. Like, let's just film today. And I wasn't really feeling it. Like, I was more feeling like I just wanted to be there with my sisters and not really be in front of the camera, and I just felt like it was too exhausting always whipping out the camera and then explaining what we're going to be doing and always needing to focus on filming stuff. And I don't know, it's a different mindset if you just go out and have a day with sisters or go out and you want to be filming at the same time. It's just a different, mindset kind of. So I don't know, I wasn't really feeling it because I wasn't feeling that great anyway, so I didn't really want to be in front of the camera. So I kind of asked them if we could then come up with some sort of solution that suits both of us. So we then agreed that we would just film really the main things. So whenever we're like eating, for example, or shopping, just the main things, but not whipping the camera out in between our day, just while we're doing something interesting. But that wasn't respected then, because on that day they often just started filming even when just before that we had kind of a disagreement, or we weren't feeling that great, and then they would just start filming and be like, oh hey guys, so we're going here and here now. And I was just like, that's not at all what I want on YouTube. First of all, feeling the need to always film, like that's not what I agree to. And also not being fake. Like I am not gonna be fake on YouTube. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'm not gonna be smiling and happy and be like, oh hey guys, let's go here and let's have a great time together. When I'm feeling bad, I most likely don't want to be on camera, or if I am on camera, then I'm not going to pretend like I'm feeling great. Like fakeness has never been something I, as a person, ever agreed to or ever wanted. Of course, sometimes it's okay to be fake, and sometimes it's good to be fake to protect yourself, but not in a way that you're completely hiding who you are, and like really not in a way that is so unnecessary. Yeah, like fakeness in general, I'm just against. And so that's something I don't want to put on our YouTube when we were being fake in certain situations. And so I just did notice on that day that my sisters in between were being quite fake. Like they were putting on a smile, even though before that we had a disagreement, not a massive argument or anything, just a disagreement. We weren't feeling the best. Or like when they filmed a TikTok, for example, they wanted to put a filter over it so their skin looked smoother. Or they made sure their hair is okay or their outfit looks good. And that's just, that's a certain level of fakeness instead of just showing yourself the way you are in that moment. And of course, at some level I understand it. Of course you want to look presentable for the camera and you want to feel secure and safe in your own body and stuff, but not to that excessive amount, that they did it as well. Like putting on a filter just so you don't see pimples, I think is just really, that's just fake. That's just a level of fakeness that I don't agree with and I don't want to be a part of. Obviously, if they need to do that, they have to do it. But I'm not gonna be a part of that, and that was just really hard for me to see. Because I've always stood for being real and being true to yourself and standing for what you believe in and the way you are. That's literally what also made my school life really hard, because everyone was so fake. Like really, everyone was so fake and was just following the sheep, just going in the same direction, not thinking for themselves, not doing what they really wanted to, not standing up for what they believed in. It was so hard for me to see, and I was always, always standing up for what I really believed in, always sticking to myself. That's why I didn't have friends, really. I didn't have anyone in school. And literally my work here on YouTube as well is all about being real. Like, I'm talking about my thoughts and my emotions, and I'm telling the truth about that, about the way I feel. That doesn't mean it's everyone's truth. That doesn't mean everyone will agree with that. That's okay. And I know as well that a lot of things I do look at in a harsh way that I'm learning to not look at in such a harsh way anymore. So I have gotten better, a lot better, believe me. But yeah, that was just really hard for me to see, because I want us sisters also on our YouTube channel to be real, and because I know that we can really inspire other people as well then, and help them feel more confident, and show them, like, sometimes we have marks on our faces, like I do today as well, that just are normal, and that doesn't make us ugly, or it doesn't mean we have to hide it or feel less confident just because we have that on our face. Or, you know, like, I want us to show others that what they can be, and that they don't have to hide, and they can be themselves, and they should be themselves and stand up for what they believe in. Yeah, so that's just really hard when that's really what I stand for, and then I just see my sisters basically, yeah, doing the opposite for what I stand for. Not that they did it in extreme amounts, but they still did it. They were still fake in certain moments, and so that's just something I definitely want to discuss with them as well once we have that sit down and we speak about our ideas for this project together. You know, advice that my mom really gave me as well, which was really nice, and it was true, is that, you know, I can't and I shouldn't control what they are doing. And in a lot of ways I always kind of want to, because I often think that, you know, when they keep doing that, for example, using filters, then they're just making themselves more insecure. They're gonna want to show themselves less and less then without a filter. And if they always wear makeup, you know, it's the same thing, that they're not gonna become more confident then about themselves. They're always gonna want to put on makeup before being on camera, or will always blur out their faces on videos when they don't, you know, when they have some breakouts, or when they, you know, they're just gonna be less confident then, and they're doing that to themselves. And so I'm trying to prevent that from happening, or I'm trying to show them that they can just be themselves, and like, we can show others to be themselves as well. But mom is right, like, everyone needs to make their own decisions, do their own thing, and then deal with the consequences that come with that. And so I want to try to less feel the need to kind of control that. But if they need to do that and they want to do it, I just have to let them. But I obviously don't need to be a part of that. You know, I can keep my distance from that fakeness. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try that more, because I've noticed, you know, it's not doing me any favors trying to kind of control what they're doing either, because it's just been making me feel really sad as well, because I notice they're doing the opposite of what I want to do. So yeah, I'm just gonna try and let them do their own thing. They need to deal with the consequences, make their own decisions, and I'm gonna stick to what I want and I believe in. Yeah. And so that kind of also links to the other thing that kind of happened, or that has been going on for a couple of months as well, is that me and my youngest sister aren't getting along that great since a couple of months, especially since we were in Spain together, the two of us. Yeah, and it's really upsetting, because we've always got along, and she was always someone, honestly, that I trusted the most. And whenever I was feeling down, I would go to her and we would speak. And we would always find some solutions together, and we were always kind of the approachable person for each other. She was always the one who understood where I was coming from. So whenever, I don't know, I had arguments with our other sister, for example, or with our parents, or if I wasn't feeling that great, she would always understand where I'm coming from as well and be a big comfort for me. But now that has really, really decreased more and more. Especially when we were in Spain, we just had so many like small, but at the same time not that small, arguments, where she often wanted the one thing and I wanted the other thing, and then both of us wanted to explain to the other person what our side was, and we wanted the other person to agree with our side. Yeah, and when she didn't get what she wanted, she would be really annoyed at me and basically blame me for being unkind to her and for, that I'm the reason she can't do this or can't have this or whatever. So she is really in that teenage phase that everyone goes through, where they want what they want and they fight for their own opinion and feel the need to be right. So yeah, like my whole family is noticing that at the moment, that she has now reached that teenage phase, and that she really quickly gets very annoyed and starts arguments with even other family members as well, which she was usually never like that. She was the one person you would usually never really argue with, only small little bits maybe. But now she really gets angry so fast and like really annoyed at anyone so fast, just when she thinks they looked at her wrong or said one wrong word or something like that, So she's obviously in that phase right now that everyone goes through, and that's pretty normal. And you also need that phase, to figure yourself out and see what you want and what you believe in, and to see that you don't need to be like everyone else around you, and that you can be your own person and stuff. It is really important, and I get that, and obviously she's allowed to go through that phase. But we're just really clashing because Mom pointed out as well that usually the teenager would then clash with one of their parents, usually. But now she's clashing with me way more than with my parents, because I guess we spent so much time together in Spain where it was really just the two of us. And also because my parents, they already have practice with their other kids, how to not be so controlling while the teenager is going through that phase, and to let them decide and just let them, live out their needs and their annoyances and stuff like that. And whereas because me and Alana were so close as well, I guess, whenever I try to control her in any way, or I'm like, no, let's not do that, or let's do this, or I make some sort of suggestion, or I disagree with something she's saying, I immediately get hammered. Like, she immediately puts me down and immediately blames me and says really harsh things then as well. So she's really clashing with me basically, and that I've twice already I've cried really hard about it in my mom's arms because I really, really miss my younger sister. I miss the way we used to always be, and how I used to always be able to go to her, and how we used to always get along and be really joyful together, always laugh so much, and she used to always understand my side, whereas now I can't ever go to her and just talk to her without it ending in an argument. And that's really exhausting as well, because so many times I just have the intention of really just talking to her, really just speaking the way I would normally speak, but she takes it on as like something really personal against her, or she immediately shouts at me then, and it immediately turns into an argument, even though I'm just speaking the way I speak to everyone and the way I used to always speak to her as well. Like I'm just speaking normal, and then she just comes back and like hammers me with these words and these things. And so it's really, really exhausting, because anytime I really open my mouth around her, she immediately shouts at me and immediately takes it personally. And that's just so exhausting, especially also when I just don't want to do something. So if she wants to play a game and I'm just like, no, I'm not really feeling it, she then rolls her eyes and sighs and blames me for not doing that for her. And it's not my responsibility. If she wants to do something, I don't have to do that for her. And that's where we're often clashing as well, because I might want to do something different than what she wants to do. And I need to learn as well that that's not my responsibility. I don't need to please her. I don't need to do what she wants to do, you know? Because that's why I've also been feeling a bit bad, I guess, because I feel I don't want her to blame me. I don't want her to think of me in a bad way. I want her to like me, obviously. But at the same time, I can't force myself to do all these things just so my little sister likes me again. Like, that's not right either. So a couple nights ago, I just really had a breakdown because her and me got into another fight, and then I was just so exhausted because I was just like, first of all, I wasn't even speaking to her, I was speaking to my mom, and then she interrupted and immediately with a raised voice blamed me for whatever I said again, or for, you know, it was just so exhausting. And I just then broke down. I was like, oh my God, I can't even speak to you anymore normally the way I used to always be able to. Like, I can't even speak to you anymore and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Then she went into her room and was crying. My dad was speaking to her, and then I was in the living room crying, and my mom was speaking to me. And basically, you know, I was just crying, first of all, because I really miss my younger sister. Second of all, because it's so exhausting. I just want to speak to her, and it's just, it's wrong in her eyes. And it's just, like, really, I've tried so many ways to approach her, and every time it's like she sees something that I did wrong, you know? And I think it's really just because we spent so much time with each other in Spain. We were like 24/7 for 6 weeks. It was just the two of us together, you know? It was always the two of us together. So I think it was just too much, and we just needed a break from each other. So now she's still annoyed at me for, you know, that time in Spain as well and stuff. Basically, what me and mom concluded then is that I'm going to try and lessen my desire for control, to just let her and my other sister as well make their own decisions, that it's not my responsibility. They need to deal with the consequences. They need to figure out, you know, what's good for them and for their life. So I'm going to less try and control certain things. You know, I'm going to try and speak kinder to her, but at the same time as well, if I don't want to do something, then obviously I don't have to do that. So if I say, no, Alana, I'd rather not do that, and she rolled her eyes and blah blah blah, I'm just gonna try and let her roll her eyes and not let that affect me, because usually I would always then want to explain why I said no, so that she doesn't feel annoyed and she understands what I mean. But mom was like, that just makes her more annoyed right now, so that's why just maybe, you know, say, you know, you'd rather not do this, and then if she rolled her eyes, she rolled her eyes. That's her thing. I'm obviously allowed to say no if I don't want to do something, you know. I don't have to please her. So basically, it's my desire for control that I can definitely try and decrease, so that she doesn't get so annoyed, and also it's unhelpful for me as well. If I always feel like I need to save my sisters from certain things, then they'll never learn either, and also it's exhausting for me because they might not want to be saved. They need to figure out their own lives and their own things, you know? So it's not my responsibility. I'm also not their parent, but even parents, shouldn't do that. And my parents really learn a lot now. Like they're a lot less controlling than they were with me, especially, and my other sister a small bit, but especially with me, I was like, I'm always so shocked at how different they are to my youngest sister, because they learned so much through the way they treated me and how that played out then, especially my dad. But yeah, so it's really like, I wish I had these parents, that my younger sister has now. I wish that I had them when I was going through that teenage phase. Like, wow, my life would have been so different. So yeah, obviously I don't want to be seen as like, oh, she's always so controlling, she always needs her way, or she always tells me to not do this and that. I don't want to be that way. I know why I'm doing it. It's because I want to save my sisters. I've always felt that responsibility to take care of them and to make sure they don't fall on their nose. But at the same time, they need to fall on their nose to see what's right for them, to see what's good for them. They need to figure it out themselves. If I always protect them, they'll never know. They'll never know what's right and wrong for them. So yeah, I definitely want to try and let go of my desire for control some more, and to not take her sighs and her rolling her eyes so personally, that just let her be, and then don't explain myself, don't defend myself, just let her be, and it's okay. And also to trust that she'll come back to me, or kind of bounce back, obviously, because she's in a very extreme phase right now. So at some point, every teenager is out of that phase and then kind of bounces back to their own real personality without it being so heightened. Yeah, and just trust that me and my sister will find our ways back to each other again, that at some point I will be able to talk to her again the way I used to, or, if it's not the exact same way it used to be, because it won't be, because she's going through a transition phase right now, that I'll still have her back at some point, as bad as that sounds. But right now we're not close, we don't have these deep conversations anymore that we used to always have, and she's not really my comfort person anymore right now that I can go to and speak to whenever something's up. Just trust that we'll kind of find our ways back to each other, that we haven't lost each other, that it's just a phase, and a phase that is pretty normal and everyone goes through. And it's a good opportunity for me to decrease my desire for control, to see I don't need to control everything, that I'm still safe and everything's still okay, even if things don't always go 100% the way I want them to go, or the way I feel like they should go in order to be the best that it can be. That it's also okay if some things just fail or some things aren't the best, and yeah, it's just all a learning, and probably all not as serious as I'm making it. So all just takes practice, but it's all possible. So I think that kind of concludes this video. So I don't know, it's a lot, it's a lot of new things going on right now. There's even more that I didn't speak about, didn't mention yet. It's understandable that I might feel a little bit overwhelmed with all the new things, but it's all down to the way I'm thinking about it. If I think about it in a helpful way, a way that I'm encouraging myself and I'm uplifting myself, then I'll feel a lot more powerful about things and good about things. So yeah, again, practicing my language, going back. Just because I'm in a small blip right now doesn't mean the world is ending and I've lost everything I learned. It's all still there, and it's okay to be in a blip sometimes, it's okay to just have a couple days where you're not feeling that great, and where you're crying a bit more and you're feeling more down, and because then you'll learn how to really lift yourself up again and show yourself, look, this is how I can reach the light, by being kind to myself, by doing good things for myself, by talking friendly to myself, by going out and doing nice things. Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Maybe this was a bit helpful for you as well. Take care, and until the next time, bye.